Ya la 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 ya la la la. Olam chesed yibane. Ya la 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 ya la la la. Olam chesed yibane. Ya la 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 ya la la la. Olam chesed yibane. Ya la 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 ya la la la. I will build this world from love. Ya la 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 ya la la la. And you must build this world from love. Ya la 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 la. And if we build this world from love, ya la 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 ya la la la, then God will build. Then God will build this world from love. Ya la 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 ya la la la. Olam chesed, olam chesed yibane. Ya la 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 ya la la la. Olam chesed yibane. Ya la 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 ya la la la. Olam chesed yibane. Ya la 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 ya la la la. Olam chesed yibane. Ya la la ya la ya la la la.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
For folks who are able to see, just to turn around, folks in the back might not be able to see just the mountains behind. It's pretty magical. It's pretty majestic. We have the light coming in from the west. We have the mountains here. We have the trees. We have different shades of green. We are so lucky. We're so lucky to welcome in the Shabbat. Thank you all for being here with us in person. We're also surrounded by people from across the world and across the universe who are with us via live stream from many, many galaxies, so we can wave and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. We're grateful that you're here with us as well. We just sang Olam Chesed Yibaneh, a Liobek Temple staple. And the Hebrew, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, is the world, this world we need to build through love. And this word, the word chesed, it's a funny word in Hebrew. And it doesn't just mean love. For the Hebraists among us, there is another word in Hebrew for love. The word is ahava. Chesed is a word that doesn't appear all too frequently in the Jewish canon, but when it does, it's a more sort of, it's a form of love that has more vigor. It has a little bit more intentionality, and it has a little bit more compassion. And my teacher from when I was in rabbinical school, Dr. Tamara Eskenazi, she taught me that chesed is love beyond the call of duty. Love beyond the call of duty. And tonight is it's a special Shabbat. Every Shabbat is special. Tonight's a special Shabbat where we are radiating extra chesed into our community, extra love into our community, because we have the opportunity later this evening to honor and to appreciate our Chesed Companionship Program at Liobek Temple, which is our grief companionship program, and all those who are touched by it. We will begin our service tonight with some extra light and extra love. We're actually going to turn to page 2. And for anyone who is a Chesed companion, if you feel comfortable and you would like to join for the candle lighting, we invite you to the Bima to join us.
wind is being kind tonight. So. There you go.
Hold on tight. Oh, I think it went out. Do I use matches? Go old school.
Old school. There we go.
I think that is a check. Yes. There you go.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav tzivanu ad l'ikner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
So I had the absolute pleasure and honor of spending 2 weeks. I got home on Saturday. 2 weeks up at Camp Newman. Camp Newman is my camp from growing up. Previously Camp Swig, but it is a really special place. And as Rabbi Goldberg was pointing out the beautiful scenery behind us, I immediately took myself back to sitting right in front of my, I would call it my like really, really luxurious hotel room, because after the fires that occurred back in 2018, or 17, excuse me, 17, everything was gone. Camp burned down, and they have rebuilt to a point that is, I mean, it is going to be, it's already gorgeous, and it is only going to be even more gorgeous. And so to be able to see camp grow back, not just in building, but also in the greenery and in things that just survived the fires and the trees. It was so like kind of breathtaking and mind-blowing all at the same time. And then to be able to come back home and to then see where we're surrounded by this gorgeous sort of sanctuary in the midst of crazy LA right off the 405, but you would never know as we're standing here in this beautiful outdoor space. So I'd love to just let us all take a moment to take a deep breath and realize that we are so incredibly lucky to be both in this sacred community of people, but also this sacred community of nature that we're surrounded by. And that every day we have the opportunity to walk down this hill and see nature growing so beautifully around us. I mean, we all experienced a fire here not so long ago, and then to see what we were able to create again. And so life begins anew, and Shabbat brings that newness and that ability to have that new Shabbat, the Shabbat that has never occurred before, will never occur again. And we have the opportunity now to experience that. And so we'll join together on page 10 with Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh av harachaman, av harachaman, meshoch avdecha el ritzonecha, el ritzonecha. Yarutz avdecha kemo ayal yishtachave el mul hadarecha. Yedid nefesh av harachaman,
We'll turn to page 20 and 21 for Lecha Dodi, a chance to greet the Shabbat bride. We'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And as we come upon verse 9, we'll rise and we'll greet the Shabbat bride together.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor v'divor echad hishmianu el hameyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad leshem u'tiferet v'litfila Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh v'machshavat tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki va'orech kumi ori. Uri, uri, shir daveri, kevod Adonai, alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha u'b'tzola toch emunei am stegula boi chala Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
We'll remain standing. We'll turn in our Sidurim to page 28 for our Baruchu, and we'll join together.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai.
On page 31 at the bottom of the page, we'll read together in English. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Amen. On page 33 at the top, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Amen.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Mi Chamocha can be found on page 40.
Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha ne'etar b'kodesh nora tehilot osei felech nora tehilot osei felech malchutecha ra'u banecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam ze Eli anu ve'amru ze Eli anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Yai lai 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 yai lai lai yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai lai yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai.
On our supplements, we can find our prayer Hashkivenu, which can be found at the bottom right side of the front side of the supplement. And so many of our Shabbat prayers focus on lofty themes that may be difficult to connect with. Themes like redemption, which we just sang in Michamocha, or in the prayer Gevurot, which we'll do later today in the Amidah, prayers of like God as an ultimate being of strength. Some of these ways of connecting with prayer might be difficult, and Hashkivenu, in my experience, is actually one of those prayers that's more accessible in the liturgy, because it's not about ultimate redemption or ultimate strength. It's about something that's much closer to home, which is about being able to go to sleep at night safely and being able to wake up in a safe place, in a whole place. This idea of sleep or rest, it can be so easily tampered with. And we may know that feeling when we're waking up in the middle of the night, or when we don't sleep super well, or we wake up groggy. And as we sing Hashkivenu tonight, my hope is that this is a prayer for us to have that warm blanket of Hashkivenu, of Jewishness, of love, so that when we rest tonight, we're able to awaken tomorrow fully and healthy and whole. That's my prayer for us tonight. Hashkivenu. We'll sing together.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'ha'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen.
Amidah can be found on page 46. It'll be a chance for us to have our own prayers, whatever we want to radiate out into the ether, into the universe. We'll recite the first 4 prayers together as a community in Hebrew, and following that, it'll be a chance to use either the prayers on the pages or the prayers in our hearts or in our minds, and we can be seated whenever we're finished. We will rise as we are able. Page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekoneh Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, Ata Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol ata, Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom, yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Say shalom, shalom v'imroma, hu יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל אמן. עושה שלום שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל אמן.
Sometimes it starkly pokes like a pin, causing pain in certain areas of the body. Sometimes it hurts, but only in a weird spot, like it's trying to tell you something. It might wake you up at the night when you least expect it. It may bring up a memory as you drink coffee that's a little too bitter, or as you look on your doorstep at the greenery in need of a little bit of water, or you drop a piece of fruit in the grocery store, reminding you of something, or as you take a drive down Ventura Boulevard. Other times it might float underneath the surface, under the floorboards, awaiting for the perfect or imperfect moment to say, hello. If a loved one has died, we may have experienced this phenomenon before. Most of the time, it doesn't go away when we want it to. We might say, go away. And the more we say, go away, the more it comes back knocking on the door. Hello, I'm still here. This feeling that you're getting in your stomach or in your belly, that's me, and I'm not leaving yet. This phenomenon, this feeling that I'm talking about is grief. The set of multifaceted emotions caused by the death of a loved one. Scholarship on grief has been and continues today to remain complex. Grief is not just emotional, it's neurological, it's physiological, and it's biological. Scholars have worked to qualify 20th century psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's groundbreaking research on the 5 stages of grief, and now we know, of course, that grief is not linear at all. Contemporary neuroscientist Mary Frances O'Connor has dedicated much of her life to studying grief. O'Connor earned her doctorate from the University of Arizona and completed her fellowship at UCLA. And she returned to the University of Arizona about 10 years ago, where she's now an associate professor and the head of the GLASS Lab, which is an acronym which stands for Grief, Loss, and Social Stress Lab, where she and her team study grief and its effects on the brain and body. Much of O'Connor's research is published widely in academic journals and also in contemporary newspapers. Her recent work, The Grieving Brain, The Surprising Science of How We Learn from Love and Loss, states, grief is a heart-wrenchingly painful problem for the brain to solve. It doesn't make sense. Grieving necessitates learning to live in the world with the absence of someone you love deeply who is ingrained in your understanding of the world. And this means that for the brain, your loved one is simultaneously gone, but also everlasting. And you are walking through two worlds at the exact same time. You are navigating your life despite the fact that they have been stolen from you, a premise that makes no sense and that is both confusing and upsetting. Confusing and upsetting are just two of many words to describe grief. Grief is not just an experience for mourners today. We can find grief in our ancestors' experiences as well in our Torah. We learn the story of the Israelites nearly finishing their wanderings in the desert right now. And we read one verse of Torah in this parsha that I believe deserves much more space in our tradition. Vayavohu v'nei Yisrael kol ha'edah, that the Israelites, they arrive as one community to the wilderness of Tzin, this place called Tzin, at the first of the new month. And the people stayed in that land. And then we have the words, Vatamot sham Miriam, vatikaver sham. Miriam died there and was buried there. That's it. That's the line. Miriam died there and was buried there. The next verse immediately moves on to a different narrative. There's no mention of emotion. There's no mention of a ritual apart from the aforementioned burial. And it's, I think, somewhat surprising because it was Miriam who really helped to create the story of the Jewish people. It was Miriam who suggested to Pharaoh's daughter that Moses be nursed by an Israelite as a baby. It was Miriam who ensured that Moses grew up as an Israelite. And it was Miriam who made Moses the leader that he was. But Moses mentions no memories of his sister in this verse. It's gut-wrenching. Our rabbis work hard. They try to work hard to take the veil off grief. They try to humanize the experience and make sense of it, but it's not easy for them. Sometimes they don't know what to say when someone dies. On this verse, Miriam died there and was buried there. The rabbis of the Talmud note that the word there is in that verse because the rabbis think that Miriam is actually still alive, even though she died a physical death, because Miriam died only there, whereas Miriam lived outside of earth. Miriam lived in this mystical region reserved for the souls of the righteous. The rabbis just couldn't stomach it. One way to grapple with this confusion and sadness is to seek reason and to seek answers. One of the most famous sayings of Hasidic teacher and scholar Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav follows, Kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar me'od. The whole world is a very narrow bridge. V'ha'ikar lo lefached klal. And the most important part is not to be afraid. This phrase has been popularized around the world now by Jews. It's now used as a contemporary Israeli folk dance tune. I've danced to it before. But what it means is really profound. What Rabbi Nachman is saying is that we ought to live lives of courage, even as we walk through what is unknown or what is fearful or what is chaotic. I think Nachman could have been talking about what it's like to live in a world ridden with violence, or with war in the Middle East, or with excessive and dangerous heat, or with wildfires, climate change, corruption, you name it. But when Nachman says the most important part is not to be afraid, I wonder if Nachman also could have been talking about grief. Rabbi Mark Margolius, who's the senior program director at the renowned Institute for Jewish Spirituality, teaches that the Hebrew of this Rabbi Nachman verse is actually misquoted. It's actually mispopularized, and it should be popularized differently. It's important to note that Nachman's actual recorded teaching, and these are Rabbi Mark Margolius' words now, is far subtler and closer to our experience. Rather than use the word lefached, which means to be afraid, Nachman actually uses a different form of Hebrew, lehitpached. It's the same root, it's the same meaning, but it's a different verb tense. It means to cause oneself to be afraid. So for Nachman, instead of the most important part is not to be afraid, now the most important part is to not make ourselves afraid, is to not get worked up over the fear that we might be experiencing. For Nachman, courage is not about denying or repressing fear. Rather, the fundamental principle of courage is choosing not to frighten ourselves beyond the fear that we already experience. Fear is unavoidable and perhaps even required. Courage involves moving forward despite our fear and not exacerbating our anxieties. The experience of walking through grief is a very narrow bridge. It is scary. It teeters. It causes fear. It causes agita. It can cause sadness. It can cause anger and resentment. Grief can cause so many and such a variety of emotions that it would actually be irresponsible to say the most important part is not to be afraid. Because we should not and we cannot repress being afraid. Instead, Rabbi Nachman is saying, Lo lehitpached klal. The most important part is we must not be afraid of any emotion that arises. We should not frighten ourselves about any of the emotions that grief can surface. Our LBT clergy team and our leadership, we are so proud tonight to honor everyone involved in our amazing Chesed Companionship Program, or Chesed for short, the same word that's used in Olam Chesed Yibaneh, that we need to build a world full of love. The ideology of Chesed is so simple. It's that no one grieves alone, and it's to destigmatize grief. That's it. No one grieves alone, and to destigmatize grief. Our Chesed Companionship Program offers mourners in our community the opportunity to be matched with the volunteer grief companion, also in our community. We call Chesed Companions, our angels at our temple. They are specially trained by Jewish and secular nonprofits, both in LA and across the country. And they are some of the best listeners and some of the best supporters I know. And they walk alongside mourners in their grief journey. And a special shout out to Lisa and to Elizabeth and Jill for being some of the three most strong and courageous and heart-affirming people I've ever met. We are so blessed by your leadership and your wisdom. With support from family and friends and community, and now our temple, grievers in our community and beyond, this extends much wider than Leobeck. The hope is that we can create an ethos such that no one should grieve alone. no one should need to be afraid of any emotion that arises when grief comes, because we need to talk about it and we need to be in relationship with one another to bring it up. To the companions and mourners who choose to take part in these heart-affirming relationships, Cantor Hass and I want to express special gratitude for just all the sacred work that you've done in helping to make this community so special. We also want to invite you to really help kind of co-create this moment of ritual for us, with us as well. So listen closely, this might apply to you. If you are a Chesed companion, or if you are a participant in our Chesed companionship program as a mourner, or if you are a mourner in our community and you want to just feel some extra love tonight, then what I'll invite you to do, if anyone feels comfortable, you also don't have to, you can stay seated, but if you want to, we'll invite folks from those three categories to come on up, and we'll actually invite you to stand behind me. We're actually going to rotate around so we can see you, because we want to offer a special blessing to you for all the sacred work that you've done. So wow, this is just an amazing group of human beings. What actually I'm going to invite you to do, this is going to sound like a strange request, but I'm going to actually ask you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, to make 2 columns. One column here and one column here facing one another.
So there's 8, 4 and 4.
So 4 and 4, math. We study math in rabbinical school. Not much.
I didn't study it in cantorial school.
Can't count it. It's all your fingers minus your thumb.
And we also know that many folks in our community are with us via live stream too, so this is a blessing for you too. And these sets of columns, they may sound funny, but what you've created is actually an ancient Jewish ritual or tradition. You may have heard of it, you may not have, but in the Middle Ages, actually some of our LBT families do this. In the Middle Ages, some scholars suggest, actually all the way back to the time of the Talmud, probably 1,500 years ago, that when Jews would gather for a funeral, after you recite Kaddish for the very first time, the participants of the funeral would arrange themselves into 2 columns. And so the very first time after a mourner recites Kaddish, they would walk through essentially this very narrow bridge that you're creating. And the most beautiful part about it is every time the mourner passes someone, you would say, Hamakom Yenachem Etchem. You would say these 3 easy words, Hamakom Yenachem Etchem. It could be like a tongue twister, but it means, may God comfort you. May God comfort you. That's it. And the thought is that every time a mourner walks through these lines, you are being seen. I see you, 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 I see you. That's what you're saying as you create these columns. And so this is the role of chesed, is for our mourners amongst us, you are destigmatizing grief. You are not running away from it in endless circles. You are actually bringing the feelings up, and it's beautiful, and you are so courageous to walk across this narrow bridge with others. And to our companions, you are putting your incredible resources and time and energy into supporting others and ensuring that no one is alone walking across this narrow bridge. And we thank all of you. And to you all, we just appreciate you for showing up and saying that we see you. We are so, so appreciative. In our Sidurim, we can find the words to Rebbe Nachman of Bratislav's prayer, Kol Ha'olam Kulo. It's on page 339. If you want to follow along, you can. And if you're up here in these columns, just let it wash over you. The entire world is a very, very narrow bridge, and the most important part is, well, just to say, I see you.
Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od, kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od, v'ha'ikar, v'ha'ikar, lo לפחד, לא לפחד כלל, והעיקר, והעיקר, לא לפחד כלל. כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד, כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד.
The entire world is a very, very narrow bridge, and the most important part is to say that we see you, say that I see you, we all see you, that you see each other, and we'll all say together, Amen.
Amen. So, as we come to the concluding part of our service, we every Friday night, Saturday mornings have the opportunity to share a blessing of healing. And so much of what you all do as Chesed companions are assisting in the healing of those who are suffering, who are hurting, who are in the midst of darkness that they probably don't necessarily see an end to. And so much of what we do as Jewish people is take care of others. And so we take this opportunity to share names of those who are in our lives, who are in need of healing, be it of body, of mind, or of spirit. We'll start over here, and if there are names you'd like to share with our community, I invite you to please share their names out loud with us so that we can take them into our hearts. join together in our prayer books on page 253 for the Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage who make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor habracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Our concluding prayers can be found on page 282 with the Aleinu. In all the ways that we're able, I'll invite us to rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. page 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד. Please be seated. So while I was at camp, I had the immense privilege to work with young song leaders, that 18, 19-year-old students who are, I was in their shoes, what feels like far too long ago. And I was given a gift by these song leaders, and that was learning a song that two of them wrote based on the words that you'll find in a poem that we have read so many times in our prayer book before the Kaddish. It's on page 288. And these two song leaders, by the name of, one is Danny Hortney and Delaney Holland, wrote these wrote this music to this poem, and it's not loosely based on the words that you have in front of you. And then additional words were written by another song leader named Shira Siegel. And I learned this song, and I said to Scott, this just works. It's so perfect for tonight. And I wanted to share this with you as just an opportunity to let the music wash over you and to hear these words, because when you hear them, you'll understand why they're so appropriate. So this is called When I Die. When I die, give what's left of me away. Give it to people you love. Look for me above in the sunset and in the rain. When you cry, let the tears fall down your face. And when you need me, when your arms feel weak, give yourself space to set yourself free. You can never grieve alone. Trust those you hold close, and you can find me in the trees, the buzz of the bees, in the wash of the waves. Love doesn't die, people do. There's just one thing left to do. Give me away when I'm amidst. You can find me in your life. Just because you're alone doesn't mean I'm not home. In your heart, give my love to those who need the light. You know what to do. You can push through. Live for my life to set yourself free. You can never grieve alone. Trust those you hold close, and you can find me in the trees, the buzz of the bees, the wash of the waves. Love doesn't die, people do. There's just one thing left to do. Give me away. When I die, give what's left of me away. Give it to people you love. Look for me above in the sunset and in the rain. When you cry, let the tears fall down your face. And when you need me, when your arms feel weak, give yourself space to set yourself free. You can never grieve alone. Trust those you hold close, and you can find me bees, the wash of the waves. Love doesn't die, people do. There's just one thing left to do. Give me away.
As we recite Kaddish Yatom this evening, we especially remember longtime LBT member Ellie Kaufman and longtime LBT member Roberta Howard, whom death has taken from us recently. We link their names with Doris Chartrand, Joy Morris Chermak, Joseph Cohn, Florence Daniels, Hattie E. Desser, Alexandra Fischel, Mort Gantman, Janice Garrison, Luis Weinman Girdwin, Buff Given, Judith Maccabee Hakim, Irene Hart, Bernard Human, Roberta Howard, Jack Bruce Littman, Helen Marpet, Gerda Meyer, Lucille Polachek, Bess Ratner, Eileen Reeves, Frank Leon Rose, Leo Rose, Harold Seltzer, Herbert Silverman, Sarah Silverman, Leslie Sklar, Esther Smith, Shirley Ward, Rosette Wilson. If there are others whom you are holding on the Shabbat, or if I've mispronounced the name of your loved one, I'll invite you to share their names with us as a community. Kaddish Yatom can be found on page 294. We'll rise together and we'll join together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divra chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chaye chon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach la'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, u'yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, Amen. May the Holy One of Blessing, who creates peace and love and comfort in the high realms, bring that peace and love and comfort to all of us right here on this earth.
Oseh shalom bimromav, u'yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, u'yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, u'yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.